Finding reliable FPL picks without overspending is the key to building a great Game Week 1 draft. And in today's video, I'm going to reveal the ones that have stood out to me and currently are in my team. So as always, if you're looking forward to today's video, make sure to drop a like and of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Enough waffling, let's get into today's video. So kicking off today's video for the best value picks is going to be Spurs' Udogie coming in at 4.5 million. Now, with the Spurs defence, I think last season we think about it with Ange Postecoglou and it was an absolute car crash. Nobody could really trust those Spurs assets both offensively and defensively. But now with Thomas Frank in charge, I think we're all anticipating a better season for Spurs in the Premier League. And with that, some players that I think offer fantastic FPL value. And one of those is going to be Destiny Udogie. Now, covering off a couple of the pros first and foremost regarding him, I think he is going to offer actually decent attacking potential. Now, of course, we don't know right now exactly what the system is going to be under Thomas Frank, but at Brentford, we have seen at times play a 3-5-2 with attacking fullbacks like Henry. Again, if we get Udogie in that sort of position, then this is an absolute no-brainer. But if they were to play a traditional back four, we still see times where the fullbacks are heavily influencing the game in the final third. So I'm expecting Thomas Frank to get the best out of Udogie, and at 4.5 million for an attacking fullback could be absolute FPL gold. I think the opening fixtures are really good. I know a lot of people are looking at Spurs from an attacking perspective, but I also think defensively there are opportunities here. Burnley in Game Week 1 I think is as good as it possibly could be for Thomas Frank at home. Yes, they have got Man City away, but at the price point of 4.5 million, you definitely can bench somebody like Udogie, with a lot of expensive defenders being very popular in the game. Then Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton and Wolves, I actually think is not a bad run at all in these opening 6 fixtures. And also it's worth noting, when we're looking at value players, we've got to compare him to what is on the market right now. We have got lots and lots of players priced at that 6 million bracket. Then at 5.5, including his teammate Pedro Porro. So I think if we can get Udogie doing similar things to Pedro Porro at $1 million less, I really do think Udogie has to be in our considerations for Game Week 1. However, of course, all players have a slight problem. One of those is going to be that Udogie, based on last season, wasn't fantastic for the defensive contributions. He was really good in certain aspects, but not really in the ones that we are looking for defenders, which include tackles and clearances. Those are the two that you've got to look out for defenders, because that's really the bread and butter of how they're going to get those 10 defensive contributions. Udogie doesn't really do it. Pedro Porro doesn't really do it. If you're looking for that sort of defender from Spurs, the best is probably going to be Van de Ven, but then you are taking a big risk on him being injury-free each and every game, which I don't think it is worth it based on what we've seen over the last 12 months or so. And the other big concern really is going to be, is there a risk of rotation with Jed Spence? We saw at times under Ange play a left-back role. Personally, I think Udogie is going to be the number 1 left-back, and I think we will understand very quickly whether that is going to be clarified or not. So all in all, I think Udogie at 4.5 million, with the market that we have right now with defenders, is actually an attractive pick. Yes, we got to see a few things in this preseason to see if he's attacking or not to kind of justify going for him over some of the centre-backs right now at a similar price point who will accumulate those defensive contributions. But as of right now, he is in my team and I think he's great value. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next up is going to be Marmoush of Man City, coming in at 8.5 million. I know he's a lot more expensive than probably what other value picks are, but value is all about what they can offer at that price point. And I really do believe 8.5 million for Marmoush this season is underpriced. Now, the big thing that we need to understand is that last season he was classified as a forward, and this season he has been reclassified to a midfielder, which I personally think is a great thing, because remember, midfielders get an additional point for a goal and for a clean sheet. And if we are seeing Man City just being a better team in general, that is going to massively benefit Marmoush. Just those few additional points each and every game is going to see him probably do better than what we saw last season based on a per 90 perspective. Now, the big thing here is, and this is why it's all about value, he's 5.5 million cheaper than that of Erling Haaland. And as I've mentioned there, possibly playing in the same position. Now, I personally see Marmoush playing alongside Haaland in some sort of formation. The problem right now is, of course, we don't know exactly where Marmoush is going to be. Will he be left of a front three? Will he be in a double up top in some sort of mad Pep roulette formation? We don't really know the answer, but I think the way they've invested right now with central players in the shape of Cherki, Reindeers to play alongside Rodri, I don't see Marmoush's position actually being that at threat. I do still think he is part of Pep's best 11, and with De Bruyne now leaving the league, I think that has filled a hole for Cherki and Foden to take part in. I still think Marmoush is important on that left-hand side, and we saw at times him drift into central areas alongside Haaland. The big selling point for me right now is the introduction of Aït-Nouri. They haven't bought Aït-Nouri to be a defender, they have bought him to be an attacking fullback. And with him operating on that left-hand side, I think that pushes Marmoush into central zones, which gets the absolute best out of him. Again, I want to see some bits in pre-season just to see if my thought process is actually correct. But based on what I'm seeing with the recruitment right now, I very much see him operating in central zones with Aït-Nouri on that left wing and then Cherki or Foden in those pockets being creative for the team. And that is massively beneficial for Marmoush at 8.5 million. The opening fixtures are great. I think Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Man United, Arsenal, Burnley. Yes, they have got some of the traditional big six in Spurs and Man United, but at home, I absolutely back Man City score a couple of goals in those respective fixtures. And also, in just terms of the numbers, of course, half season for Marmoush with the way that he was brought in January, 0.58 expected goal involvement per 90. I think that's fantastic. Yes, there were times where there was no Erling Haaland in that team, so maybe the numbers were slightly brought up because he was playing more of a central role while Haaland wasn't there. But personally, I think Marmoush is going to get these sort of numbers regardless of where he plays. And I actually think he benefits from a big man up top because he can make those runs in behind the play or come short into the pockets and really start to pick up the ball in central zones. So I think actually keeping Haaland in the team is better for Marmoush. The problems. Pep roulette is always the thing. Doku may suddenly emerge as an option. We got Oscar Bob on that right-hand side. We, of course, got Savinho. We don't know exactly what Pep is going to do, but I personally think he is part of the best 11. And it's a competitive price point. We got Florian Wirtz, the new boy, at 8.5 coming in. We got Bruno at 9. But I think these fixtures are good enough to justify going for Marmoush. And we can't own both Salah and Haaland. And if you're one of those that is currently looking to own Mo Salah, with the fixtures, I think the next best option then is to go for a combination of Salah and Marmoush in your midfield. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next up is going to be another midfielder, and that is going to be Everton's Ndiaye, coming in at 6.5 million. Now, those FPL nerds out there like myself were praying for this to happen, and FPL headquarters finally done it, and that was reclassify Ndiaye from a forward to a midfielder. We saw him last season at Everton. He definitely was a forward, but very much one of those that dropped into pockets, picked up the play, and dictated the game. And I think rightly so, he is now a midfielder, especially with the investment that Everton have done for the likes of Barry and also keeping Beto. I think Ndiaye very much is going to play more of a 10 than as a number 9 in this Everton side, which I think is great for him. An additional point for a goal and clean sheet. And a lot of people are anticipating Everton to be once again very sound defensively. And what I love about Ndiaye is he's a baller, maybe a better player than that of an FPL option, but 9 goals last season and the penalty taker in that Everton team, I think that is really, really good value. The big thing as well, it ticks a lot of boxes when we're considering the fixtures. So the opening game week away against Leeds is not only great, but also fantastic for those that are maybe looking at a bench boost strategy in that opening game week. And beyond that, Brighton, Wolves, Villa, Liverpool away in game week 5, you could rotate him out. And then West Ham at home in game week 6. Really solid opening fixtures for an Everton team that I feel are quite settled now under David Moyes. I'm not expecting a yo-yo start to the season. I'm expecting hopefully quite a consistent one. And I do think Ndiaye 6.5 is great. Now, of course, there are problems in all players. 0.26 non-pen expected goals, which isn't fantastic, as I mentioned. This is kind of like the Cunha of Everton. Scores some good goals, penalty taker, but maybe doesn't get in all of those big chance moments that maybe Beto would get into, or maybe this new signing Barry. So just remember, if he doesn't get the penalties, then maybe those numbers aren't fantastic. And I also would argue Everton as a team are quite a low ceiling team. I never look at Everton and think they're going to score 3-4 goals in any given fixture, even with this nice opening run. So if Ndiaye does get a goal, it might be 1 goal or 1 assist, but he will usually pick up some decent bonus points with the way that he does play. So all in all, I think a fantastic value pick at 6.5 million. And with a lot of midfielders being priced slightly more expensive, we're looking for the best one at this bracket. Yes, he isn't good for defensive contributions, but I think as an attacking threat, I think he's one that we definitely need to have on our radar. So a player that I think is really undervalued and actually being massively overlooked going into game week 1 is going to be Wolves' Strand Larsen, coming in at 6.5 million as a forward. Now, I get it. A lot of people are worried because the opening fixture is terrible against City and Wolves have lost 2 of their key players in Cunha and Aït-Nouri. But I think Strand Larsen, regardless, is a fantastic pick. Now, firstly, we've got guaranteed game time from Strand Larsen. He's a player that is going to definitely be their number 9 unless they are to dip into the market with the money that they received from those 2 outgoings. But as of right now, it's all quiet on the Wolves front from a forward perspective. So I'm fully expecting Strand Larsen to be their go-to guy. And what we saw last season was great. 14 league goals in an opening campaign is being massively overlooked. And 0.36 expected goals per 90 in a Wolves team that at times were really fighting down the bottom of that league, I think is really, really solid. And yes, the opening fixture is not good at home against Man City, but are Man City absolutely watertight defensively? I think the answer is no. Then Bournemouth away, who have lost possibly both of their centre-backs going into the new season. I don't think that is a terrible fixture. Then Everton at home. Yes, Newcastle away, difficult, but then Leeds at home and Spurs away. I understand why managers are looking at these fixtures and thinking they are a little bit indifferent. I totally do agree, but I would also argue that the home fixtures are good, and I wouldn't be too put off, for example, an opening day fixture offensively against Man City. I expect Wolves to lose that game, but I expect still Wolves to get chances against that Man City team. I've seen nothing to suggest they are watertight now. Now, of course, the big problem right now is the impact of losing Cunha and Aït-Nouri going to be really negative towards Wolves? And I think it isn't going to help them at all, but we did see last season Vitor Pereira adapt that team when the transfer speculations were going around with Cunha. He took him out of the team, and Strand Larsen, of course, done well, and Wolves as a team also done really well. So I think we have seen an adaptive nature of Vitor Pereira, and I'm hoping we do see the same thing going into the new season. We also have to ask ourselves, will he definitely be the penalty taker? I've put a question mark there because I don't actually know the answer, and if any Wolves fan are watching this, please do let me know in the comments section. But I do believe Strand Larsen is the penalty taker in a Wolves team at 6.5 million, 14 league goals to his name last season. This is being massively overlooked. Now, I get it. It's in a difficult price bracket because $1 million more you can get someone like a João Pedro at Chelsea, and you can get someone like a Dominic Solanke at Spurs. But is João Pedro any better than Strand Larsen? Yes, you would say he's a better player, but is he a talisman with someone like a Delap really sitting on the bench waiting to get his minutes? I would argue no, and he won't be on penalties at Chelsea. Also, someone like Dominic Solanke. We are taking a slight shot in the dark with Solanke, assuming that Thomas Frank is going to get the best out of him. So I think Strand Larsen at 6.5, especially if you're looking to have an expensive forward and 2 forwards alongside that, is one that we absolutely have to consider. And again, let me know in the comment section, is he someone that has now made it into your game week 1 drafts? And finally, we've potentially got the best value player in the game, and that is going to be Spurs' Kinsky at 4 million. I can't really believe I'm saying that. I didn't expect going into the season that this guy would even be mentioned in any of the videos, but here we are. So we've got to talk about first and foremost why a 4 million goalkeeper is even on our radar. So we've seen a lot of reports after Thomas Frank was appointed as the new Spurs manager that he is totally open for the goalkeeper spot to be contested between Vicario and Kinsky. I think they deem either one of those good enough to be their number 1, so they're not looking to buy anyone now. So very much is a case of it's either going to be Vicario at a more expensive price, or from an FPL perspective, we are praying that Kinsky does become that man. And remember, they bought Kinsky with a very, very good reputation as a young goalkeeper, very good with his feet. And if Thomas Frank wants to adapt to that sort of thing, then I think Kinsky absolutely has the opportunity to be the number 1. And at 4 million, that just makes him an absolute no-brainer in our teams because the opening fixtures are good. We've got home games against Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves. And if West Ham still are a bit blunt going forward, even game week 4 away against West Ham, Brighton away in game week 5. The beauty about this one is that, of course, at 4 million, you can have a 4.5 million goalkeeper alongside him and then make sure that in game week 2, your 4.5 million goalkeeper has a great fixture. I will be in a future video, maybe next week, doing goalkeeper combinations, defensive combinations that work well together. So make sure you are sticking around for those future videos. The big thing as well, I think we're anticipating Thomas Frank to make Spurs better defensively. I think he is a better coach than that of Ange. Ange was very much gung-ho. We saw that high defensive line actually be detrimental to them at times. So I think Thomas Frank would be a bit more thoughtful about them defensively. And the big thing, the selling point, is that we are going to know who the number 1 goalkeeper is come game week 1 because they've got the Super Cup only 3 days before. Now, I'll be very surprised if Thomas Frank was to look at the Super Cup and think to himself, you know what, I am going to play a backup goalkeeper in this one and save my best goalkeeper for game week 1. I think he is going to play his number 1 goalkeeper, and that should clarify it. And if Kinsky is the 4 million goalie, then he is going to be in everybody's team come game week 1. The only downside, of course, is that he does take up a Spurs spot, and I think Spurs outfielders are actually going to be really good options. We've already got discussions of Udogie and Van der Ven at 4.5. We've got people like Matthias Tell to be on our radar. We've got Solanke up front, and of course we've got new signing Kudus, and still maybe more to come in. So I do think it's worth noting that we are having an incredible option at Kinsky, but if he all of a sudden starts game week 1 and then loses his place, you've got a 4 million goalkeeper that is taking up a really important Spurs spot where maybe you want 3 outfielders. So one to think about, and again, all the stars need to align for this to happen, but if it does, what an incredible value pick at 4 million. Yes, guys, okay, so that's going to wrap up today's video looking at the best value players in the game. Please do let me know in the comment section who you think is incredible FPL value. And of course, I will be doing a follow-up to this, looking at those that I think are actually overpriced and ones to avoid. So make sure if you're not already, you are subscribed to the channel and hitting that notification bell so you are alerted when those future videos do come up. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please do consider dropping a like. It's always massively helpful, and we always aim for 100. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.